Hey guys, Kev here, and just wanted to do my kind of full review slash just kind of thoughts on the VDK Strix here. So I got this from the Apex Pass Around group. So first, I just kind of want to explain the Pass Around group. I believe it was it's not started by, but it's run by David from the channel Blade Banter. So shout out to David. I really appreciate him handling the Apex Pass Around group. And what happens is companies will decide to send knives out for review, and they'll let him know which models they're willing to send. He'll kind of put a list together, and then there's a bunch of us. I think there's like 40 channels, maybe more by now, and basically you just choose which knives you would want to check out, and then they get sent around by each YouTuber to the next until, everybody got a chance to check it out. And this was on the list. This is actually the personal knife of somebody in the group, a Therapeutic Edge. So shout out to Peter. Really appreciate him providing this to the Pass Around group. And just a cool, interesting knife. But because it's a collection piece for him, we weren't allowed to really carry it and cut with it. So we're really just checking it out. So I can't really give you like a full review. That just wouldn't be fair because I haven't cut with this, and I haven't even put it in my pocket. Well, I put it in to see how it felt, and that was about it. So it did, carry well for the 2 seconds it was in my pocket. And it's not a deep carry clip, but it's pretty much a deep carry clip. This is about as much sticking out as you're going to have. So I think that's perfectly fine. You can see the clip here. Cool design on the clip there. It is not reversible, so it's right hand only, and it is a righty frame lock, and it is a bit skinny. So as a lefty, you would think that's an issue, but it really isn't. I haven't had any issues deploying this knife, as it's only a flipper. There's no studs or anything, so I'm not worrying about, where to put my fingers all the time, and it seems to fire out even with my thumb kind of on the lock bar a little bit. It doesn't have those pressure issues, and I don't know if that's because it's so thin, the frame lock, or what, but it works great left-handed and right-handed. You just have the carry kind of issue there where you can only carry it on the clip on the right side. So aesthetically, this knife is absolutely just astonishing. I mean, it just stands out. It's a gorgeous knife. Do I have something to clean the blade off with? I don't. I'll just use my fingers, I guess. It has a satin finish, so it gets pretty, fingerprinty, if you will. But just look at this design. I mean, it's ridiculous. This is a VDK knife. Vlad is the guy behind it. I don't even want to try to pronounce his last name. He's had a few knives before this. I don't know much about the company. I know this is made by We. They are the OEM on this, and it is his design. That is what I know. It is a mean-looking knife. I mean, just look at this Tanto, and I'm loving Tantos right now. You guys have seen the Satori 2.0, the Chavez knives. You've seen the Birch Tree Secant. I'm sure there's more that I'm forgetting. I'm just on a real Tanto kick right now, and I love this one. It has a mean little secondary edge here, and then look at this primary tip. I meant tip, secondary tip. It is a compound grind, hollow grind back here, and then flat up here. So it's very similar to the Chavez 229 I have, and the Satori I recently did a review on. Has a cool swedge up here as well, and it kind of like swoops up to this tip right here, which is interesting. And yeah, it's just a really cool looking knife, really cool looking design. And it's so thin. This handle is extremely thin. I'm sure it's coming through, but here I can compare it to, say, a Bug Out. I mean, it's thinner than a bug out in terms of, I guess we call it the height. I don't mean this way, right? I don't mean it's thin this way, which it's not like thick or anything, but I'm talking about how tall it is, I guess we'll call it. I'm not sure what the technical term is there. And this is actually a really good size comparison. If you look here, you know, it's bigger than the bug out, but not by much. So that kind of gives you an idea of the size here. You know, you're looking at like a 3.3 inch blade, something like that. Yeah, so aesthetically, really cool. Action. Now, this is an interesting one on the action. If I go to the break point on the flipper tab here, it just flies out and it locks up. So detent is dialed in, and for the most part, you're going to put a little bit of gas on it, right? And it really fires out when you do that. This thing is amazing. And I'm putting pressure on the lock bar while doing that, and it's still firing all the way out. So the opening action on this is really good. It's fun to play with. The detent's not too strong that, you know, you're going to get sore after a few flicks, and you're not going to want to fidget with this. This is a knife you could fidget with all night. But there's one reason why I wouldn't fidget with this all night, and that's because of the closing action. This thing is an absolute guillotine. I mean, it's a thin blade, but it's heavy. You can see there's a decent blade stock here, and the bearings are just dialed in. Everything is dialed in, and this thing just drops home. There is no resistance. Excuse me, there's no resistance on this. It's amazing. And it actually is kind of scary left-handed because you got to kind of turn after you break the detent and get out of there. And if you don't do it fast enough or don't pay enough attention, that can happen where it just starts to swing home. And, you know, my heart has dropped a couple times while playing with this knife, and I thought I was going to, you know, chop pretty deep into a finger. And luckily I haven't cut myself yet. But I think right-handed, this is awesome to fidget with. I mean, you could sit here all day and do this, right? Let it drop on your nail, get out of the way. Or if you're, you know, if you're brave enough, just try to go for the full drop, but I'm not doing that. Left-handed, you know, you got to be careful. You got to really control the knife and tilt it, get out of the way, and then come around, because we did such a good job with the detent, like how it breaks. There's almost no room between where the lock releases and the detent ball like breaks, right? So normally you have a bit of got cut off there. But yeah, normally you have some room here where you know, you release the frame lock, and then you have a bit of space, you know, and then the detent breaks and it falls, right? So on this knife, we did such a good job. There's only, you know, this much space right here where you see this going, and then it breaks and it falls. So left-handed, when you go to close it, normally what I can do is kind of pop the frame lock, and then it'll sit on the detent like this. Then I can get my hand out of the way, push over, and let it drop. But because we did so good, it just breaks so early that I push the blade down a little bit, and it's already past there. And then I got to just get the hell out of Dodge, right? So all of those things are good. The machining, what we did on the detent and everything is great. So I don't want you to see that as a negative. I just want to point out, left-handed, it's a bit dangerous to operate this knife. I just wouldn't want to sit there in the dark operating this knife. So action is phenomenal on this knife. Very, very good on the open and the close. Ergonomically, it's a thin knife. So, you know, it has that issue, basically. It's just a little too thin for me. It's a little pinchy, I'll call it. It's a technical term. It just feels pinchy because I have to tighten my grip. And and then the clip squeezes into my hand a little bit, and that's left-handed. Right-handed, which I don't really use my knives right-handed, it's pretty much the same. It's just, you're feeling this dig into your palm instead of into your finger, so it's kind of the same thing. And the jimping I wish was up here or not there at all, because I'm not going to hold my finger like this. I'm going to hold it like this, right? So a little bit of jimping here would have been good, but this spine is flat and comfortable. It's not a problem. So, it's okay ergonomically, but it's not great. So if you like the thin knives, then, it's fine. But it's definitely not the most comfortable knife in the world. So that is ergonomics. Again, I didn't really get to carry this, and I can't really speak on it. The clip works well, the tension's fine, but, I didn't carry it around, so can't really say anything about that. Value. So this is where, I kind of want to finish this up with value, and this knife retailed at $350, and it is made by We, and it is a collaboration, so I get it. But, that pricing is up there with Riot knives, like my Birch Tree Secant here. This one is M390 carbon fiber titanium frame lock, so similar things there. From Riot, these were $350 new. You have the Vox F5.5 here, Urban EDC Supply F5.5. This is a all titanium build, titanium liner lock with M390, and this was $250. And the micarta ones were $200, I believe. So, this being $350, made by We, which I definitely put Riot a step above We. We is definitely up there with, the best OEMs. I just can't put them on the level with Riot. Riot just nails it every time. And their fit and finish is just a little bit better. They use better hardware, in my opinion. There's just some things that go into Riots that I understand why things cost $300 plus sometimes. But I just showed you that F5.5 for $250 full titanium. This is pretty much a similar build in terms of material, and we're talking $350 here. They're both collaborations, so I don't know. And you even have another kind of entity there, because you have Voxnaz, who's the designer, so collaboration. Riot is the OEM, and then Urban EDC Supply is technically the maker, I guess. I don't know how you look at that, but it's called the Urban EDC Supply F5.5. This is the VDK Strix, and it's a VDK knife OEM'd by We. So you even have less people involved there, less companies, and this is $350. So I think I've seen them on the secondary a few times. Excuse me. Every other month or so, I'll see a Strix pop up. And I think they go for about $300, $350. Would I pay that? No, I wouldn't pay $350 for this knife. I would probably pay $250 to $300. I think if you put this out at $250, they would have sold like hotcakes. I don't know if they sold like crazy at $350. I don't know how many they made. So, but I definitely could see if you like this design, and if you're a big We fan, which I am a We fan, I just like Riot a little better. Then, $350, whatever. If I'll say I'll pay $250 to $300, why not pay $350, right? At that point, we're already past the, diminishing returns kind of situation there with M390 and titanium, because you can get those things for $100 now. You can get a Tucson that probably is the same quality as this for $100, $120 with these materials. So, when we're talking about $350 for a knife like this, it's just kind of to the, the eye of the beholder type thing. If this knife, lights your world up, if you think this is the most gorgeous looking knife, like I do in terms of like a Satori 2.0 or a Chavez knife, and you're willing to pay $350, then go get one. The quality's there. It's definitely a quality knife, well-built knife, functions fantastically. So, those are just my kind of thoughts on value there. Again, would I recommend it to a lefty? I don't think so, unless you just absolutely adore this design, and you have, quick reflexes, because I definitely would cut myself a few times with this knife if it was mine and I felt comfortable like playing with it nonstop and carrying it and stuff. I would be using it a lot more, and I would cut myself a lot because this action is just really stupid. Stupid good. Right-handed, yeah. If you like thin knives, you don't mind that, this knife is fantastic. A righty would absolutely enjoy the bejesus out of this knife. So, this is one of the first knives that I'm saying righties only, but that is what it is. I have ranted enough here, guys. I appreciate you listening. Big shout out to the Apex Pass Around group for supplying this, and shout out to A Therapeutic Edge for providing the knife to the group. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I will catch you later.